How I made the Edoras Gate. We're at the end of the Outpost Scenery guide, and the pinnacle of this is the Edoras Gate. Look at the gates, they actually open. It's slightly hard to do one-handed whilst you're also holding a phone to film, but it looks pretty awesome, I think. I'm really pleased with how it turned out, and most importantly, it works really well in gameplay as well. So let me show you how I made it. So I'm going to mount this whole thing on a wooden base. So this is 9.5 inches. So these are 3 inches square, and they are an inch tall, so that's this plus that on top. I want them to be much more like a cobblestone type base, so I want to rough them up a little bit. So I'm just going to attack them. So the top part I want to be more like flagstones, a few on. So the tops could be quite like flagstones. Edge bit I want to be much more like a pile of rocks. So I'm going to do that all the way around on both sides. So now we're going to do a base coat in black on. I'm using a brush that I know is a little bit stiff. So we really want to make sure we get into because this isn't going to be the final colour, this is just the kind of the base coat. So all of the gaps that we've made with the biro, we want to make sure that we get into all of them. So I'm going to leave it something like that. Both of them done, and I've decided I'm going to carry on with a black base coat for the base as well, and I'm also going to do the underneath because that prevents the top from warping. So I'm going to paint the entire top. So there is the base coat applied to the whole thing, and the underneath is painted also. So I'm going to leave that to dry. So next up, we're going to put the actual colour we want it to be. So next up, this light grey paint. We're going to be painting it, but we're going to try and keep the brush perpendicular so we don't go into the cracks too much. And this will darken down. So these are the front panel bits. They are 3 inches across and 3.5 inches tall. I've already scored the wood pattern into it using the wire brush, as you will have seen in previous parts. And then I'm going to do this on here, which is just a case of, I'm not measuring this, I'm just eyeballing about the same kind of width. So that's what the front panels will look like initially. So I'm going to add some holes, some windows in this that archers might shoot out of. So I'm going to go 1 inch up, and I'm going 1.5 inches. That's how tall it's going to be, and whatever other plank I'm going to do this with. There's no real secret sauce to cutting these out. It's just going over the bits. There you have it. So that is one window. So the finished front pieces look like that. With the side pieces, these are the same height as the front pieces, so 3.5 inches tall, and then they are 2.5 inches, probably just over 2.5 inches. I think they're 3.5 inches with a centimetre taken off. I've done the wood stuff already, and then from here it's just a case of scoring lines exactly the same as we did on the front one. So I'm going to do that on both of them, and then they'll be done. So the finished side pieces look like that. These two pieces are for the walkway, so these are 3 inches deep, and then each one of them is 4.5 inches wide, making a total of 9 inches to cover the whole top of the gatehouse for the walkway. As you can see, I've already put the wood detail in, so once again it's just a case of adding in the planks. I'm gonna just do some cross things as well. Just because I think it adds a little bit of extra detail. And you can also go all out and put some nail marks. Remove. Just really create some extra kind of damage. Maybe pull at the corner and just create some damage in places. I think that's a hell of a lot more interesting for the slope going up here. The sides are made out of triangles like this, so these triangles are 1 inch high and then 2 inches across. I want to just cut the top of the triangle off there so it goes in, be perfect. This is going to be wood, so it's going to create some texture with the wire brush, as you've seen already. So they will go in pairs, something like that. Now for the slope part of it, got these here. So this is 2¼ inches, and then it's just over 1.5 inches and 5/8 maybe. And this is going to be wood as well, so some planks. I'm going to make these ones slightly thinner just for some variety. Designed at such an angle such that the models should not slip off of it. So yeah, that's how to do the stairs. So in preparation for this build, I've cut all sorts of different pieces, different thicknesses, and then created the wood effect on it. So this is a fairly slim piece here, and I'm just going to drag that across that on all of the surfaces. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of different length things that I've cut here just in preparation and done. So I have 8 pieces here. These are going to be corner type pieces to go here. So these are 5.5 inches. At the top of them, I am going to cut off at an angle like that, just so it goes to a point like that. So all of them will be like that. Next up we are making the door. So 1.5 inches wide, 3.5 inches tall, and they are 1 centimetre thick, and you'll see why I've done it so thick in a minute. Now I'm going to take one of our trim bits. This is going to be acting as bracing pieces. Just going to use some super glue. Doing something a bit crazy here and actually having these so that they can be opened or closed. So the way I've done this is this is a large paper clip. I've got here a round file, and I'm just going to go slightly in from the edge and going straight vertically down. I'm liking it most of the way through with this size there. I'm going to eyeball the same position here. Next up, you're going to need a paper clip. You need to unfold it. Then you need to unfold the other part of it as straight as you can. You're not going to need anywhere near all of this. Just going to get rid of that. Again, just okay, so that's the first fiddly bit done. So you need to curve this off, to be curved off at the same angle as this, so this needs to be curved off this way. So it's something like that. And there we have 2 doors which will be able to open. So you join me here at what can only be described as an epic painting session. So just whatever brown you can get. So I'm using a makeup brush so that I can paint pretty quickly, and a smallish one so I can get into all of the detail. But nothing fancy here, just painting a lot. So we do our first bit of construction now. Roughly centrally, it does not have to be perfect. So on this corner here, and we're just going to rest that up against there like that. And then just going to press that in. And then press it in like that. And do exactly the same on the other side as well. So I'm actually at the point now where I'm going to do a bit, I'm actually going to flock this now, so Sterling Technical Mud, and I am going to sort of splodge this down the centre. Now I'm going to apply some PVA glue. Okay, so I've got two different things I'm going to add here. So this is Battlefield Scatter. Now I'm going to carefully sprinkle this at the edges of here like this. And then to finish it off, I have a nice bright grass fur. And there we go, that is it flocked. Before we do any more construction, we need to dry brush the pieces here, get off the excess, and then you've got all of this lovely wood grain detail we put in, and then we want to just go across with the brush vertically, and that's just going to pick out those raised areas. And you can hopefully see the difference between the impact that's going to have just doing that. So next up we're going to make the front balustrade. So I've cut a number of spikes here. This is going to be a total of, should be 3.5 inches, and that is going to fit in the gap between, the gap above the doors. I have a dowel here, I put a centre mark on. This is going to be about 3 inches too long, but I'm happy to kind of cut it down afterwards. Just going to put a bead of glue. I'm just going to line this up with roughly the centre. It doesn't have to be perfect. A similar thing towards the top. So that is the central part of it. What we want is a small gap before we carry on. So we're going to have a gap of 1 centimetre, followed by, I decided to do some chunkier ones for this bit, just for some variety, to line this up like that, so you can see where your lines of glue need to be. And then using this bit of foam as a guide, we can press that down onto there, like that. That should be the perfect size gap, exactly like that. And now I need to do exactly the same thing on the other side, so I'll be back once that's done. So I made one of these for the front, one for the back, and then just gonna paint these in brown paint. So this is our kind of base, all kind of flocked and ready for the rest of the construction. So I'm taking a couple of a front piece and I've got a side piece. Now I'm gonna use this L shape of cardboard to create my right angle. Bead of super glue. Push that up against the edge, line up the top and the bottom, and then just press that all in. Be basically set already. Super glue along here, and then align it with the edges of this plinth part.
Annoyingly, the recording cut off and I didn't get to show you how I attach the doors. It's quite a simple process of just making sure that doors are aligned and pushing the paperclip into the foam at the correct height. Hope that explains things. Any questions, put them in the comments below.
So just making sure that that lines up with the front. Same this side. Now this is going to be the one of the more tricky ones, and it's something I'm putting in kind of after the fact, just because I'm not exactly excited by the fact that this isn't aligned. Beam piece, and I've cut it to the exact width. Let's see this go horribly wrong. Put some glue across here. Have to work fairly quickly. Get that in there, line it up, and then push upwards. And hopefully that's going to stay in place, and it's going to provide some much needed support. So, but that's gone really well. Not having to put it in anywhere near as much, but just, it's not all floppy and it's in a nice, much nicer straight line now, so happy with that. Now I'm going to put this front piece on, so we'll make sure our glue gun is nice and hot. Apply a thin bit of glue along the bottom. We don't want loads of this spilling out and making it look unneat. A little bit on each of the gaps. Be done relatively quickly or it will just dry, but because of how we've set it up, it should be fairly simple to get it into place. And then just squeeze each bit into where it needs to go. Nailed it! Now into the corners here, I'm going to put a dab of glue on each end. Place that into the corner, lift this up slightly and just let it come back down again, like that. And then we do exactly the same thing on the other side. Small adjustments to the floor here. So if we lay out our back piece here, we can see that one piece is going to go there. So this is this one. So next we need to cut a little slice out of here. And that means that this piece can then slot perfectly into there. Now to stick these into place, so it's going to be very similar to how we did it at the front. So it's just underneath my finger there, and then all the way along. So putting it into place. Okay, and I'm going to stick this on much the same as the front. I'm just going to concentrate on the middle section for this, for the underneath, because I don't think there's any point sticking the other bits because they're not coming into contact as much as I'd like them to be. So I'm going to concentrate on the middle part and then the rungs in between. So let's get that bit right first and then squeeze the other parts into place. To make it look a whole lot neater with some trim pieces, put some glue on the back of this one, and then we are going to cover up this unsightly gap here, length, and we will tuck that. Oh, managed to not break it. I got lucky there.
And there we have the completed Edoras gate. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I'm sorry there was a couple of filming errors there. I think the bits that were missed are kind of explained well enough. If you're not sure, then please leave a comment below. If you've liked the video, please like it, and please subscribe to the channel for more good enough scenery. I'll be back with another video soon.